Hi, can you hear me?
Honey, now is a really bad time.
Okay. Bye. I love you.
Once again, we are speaking to you from within the bowels of Pixar.
What if there's nothing about me to want?
This film takes us from a place of where do I belong to recognizing I can have belonging. It was always there.
That feeling of maybe that something's wrong with you or that you are unwanted in some way is such a universal one.
You seem fine to me.
Really deep down, he's afraid that he's the problem, that there's something wrong with him. I don't think Elio's ever admitted this.
I think there's been a mistake.
How the film resolves that, of Elio getting the love that he needs and giving it, is beautiful, and I wouldn't dare spoil it for you. Hello, and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist who loves movies way over there.
Is Alan Seawright, a professional filmmaker who feels inadequate and needs therapy. The reason I feel inadequate today is we're joined by the filmmaking team of Elio, the new Pixar film, in theaters today.
And once again, we are speaking to you from within the bowels of Pixar.
Gross. On point for this film.
We got two directors and a producer. Would you care to introduce yourselves?
I'm Domi Shi, one of the directors of Elio.
I'm Madeline Sharafian, one of the other directors.
And I'm Mary Alice Drum, the producer.
We had the privilege of screening Elio today, the entire film, and let me tell you, like, sincerely, I just went into this saying, it's the Pixar brand, I'm sure it's going to be good. I was prepared to cry because Pixar. What I was not prepared for, honestly, was the sheer level of borderline horror movie and dark humor jokes in this, but in the best possible way. It's not going to lose kids, it's going to draw them in.
The number of times I just cackled thinking, my kids are going to have so many nightmares from this, and it's going to be good for them.
Yeah, I mean, both me and Maddie are huge fans of all kinds of sci-fi movies.
Sure.
You know, we're huge fans of John Carpenter, but also Spielberg. I mean, I personally love being like a little bit on the edge of my seat when I'm watching a movie. It's really fun, especially watching those scenes in a theater. Like, you could feel the energy of the audience. Like, they're all kind of like going like, oh, like they're all kind of like,
they're delighted by
like
it.
at the edge of their seat, and then they end up like laughing. It's that perfect blend of scary and fun, I think.
Yeah, it's that salty sweetness.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the character of Elio. We don't want to spoil the entire film because we want you to go see it, especially if you are saying, I want more original cinema, I don't want another sequel or a spin-off or a reboot.
Please go to the theater and support this film from a giant corporation.
Made by real people.
Made by real people.
We're real. Yeah.
Awesome people and artists.
Major themes of this film, loneliness and feeling like you don't fit in.
So I love that we're meeting our main character, and without any dialogue from him, we learn so much about his mental state.
Spending time with my new roommate, right, buddy?
Really great work, guys.
Oh, no.
So obviously his aunt's taking him in.
Yeah, I mean, all of this was storyboarded by a really talented story artist, Dan Park.
Is a way of just like, how do we get to know why he loves space so much with no dialogue from him, as you said, until his very first line is asking Olga if there is life out there. So we wanted that to be the first thing that comes out of his mouth.
Like, we wanted to set up right away that space was like this antidote for him, this like sense of comfort. In a moment where he's feeling really, really lost and alone.
And even the way we lit the golden record is supposed to kind of draw him in.
Yeah.
It's like the first point of real saturated color that you get. So it sort of
Since the dawn of
hypnotizes him.
time,
When
humans have gazed
This is
at the
Kate Mulgrew.
stars and
I know, I got
Star
it.
Trek
I got it.
Voyager is
So
ours
great.
to find out.
But for him, it's an escape. It's an escape from his sad life. He's just lost his parents.
it's his salvation, you know? Like, we really wanted, I think, when we conceived of this scene, like, wanted him to identify with Voyager, see himself in Voyager in this lonely little satellite, pinging, you know, sending out like a signal into the vastness of space, and
But maybe one day,
and this idea that it could be picked up by somebody, like, gives him this sense of hope and comfort.
Yeah, that there's another option.
Yeah.
Well, and you said it really well. Like, the conflict with him and his aunt is they're so different that she loves him and she's responsible and she's there for him,
Yeah.
but she doesn't understand him.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. She's like unfamiliar to him at this point. They don't know each other that well yet.
And we like subtly kind of wove in this like idea that like she did have dreams of being an astronaut, that she put her life on hold. And she's not resentful of it. She just mentions it, but then that is something that Elio does take in, that he does kind of internalize, and that makes him feel even more like he's unwanted on
Yeah, he
on
thinks
Earth.
he's a burden.
So tell us a bit more about, with Elio, the story you're telling and what you want the audience to get out of it. Who do you want to speak to?
What we all connected with for the film was that feeling of being, maybe that something's wrong with you or that you are unwanted in some way. And for Elio, it's a very specific backstory, but that emotion is such a universal one, and it's something that everyone on the crew really connected with, that just like no matter what you do, you feel like there's something off.
Yeah.
That you're just not clicking or not getting it. And for Elio, he kind of writes off the people around him because of that feeling. Instead of trying to reach out to them or try to understand that feeling, he just decides, well, then maybe it's the place that's wrong, and I'll just pick somewhere else. And he's looking for that easy answer.
Hey, Jana, what are you working on? You seem so relaxed.
Oh, I just finished my mindfulness exercise in Opera Air browser. I was doing some breathing exercises to help me to de-stress and refocus.
Oh yeah, I love Opera Air. It is a browser designed completely around mindfulness.
It is a powerful browser, but I love how the simple, clutter-free design helps me to stay focused and get less distracted.
And it's easier than spending all day and night on a beach with a message scratched into the sand asking aliens to abduct you. Also focused. Not as simple.
Honestly, if I were part of an interplanetary abduction and I had Opera Air on me, I could still be chill.
What is that music I'm hearing?
It's the soundscapes in Opera Air. Just hit Command B and it'll pull up over 20 soundscapes to improve creativity, focus, and relaxation. This one is called Focused Calm, and it's just like a big squishy pillow for my brain, easing me into a deeper state of relaxation.
Oh man, Elio totally could have used that while preparing for his confrontation with Lord Grygon.
Their mindfulness, focus, and design is grounded in scientific principles to help you balance productivity and mental well-being.
And I love that you can customize the reminder to take a mindfulness break. You can set a schedule anywhere from 45 to 180 minutes. And the breathing exercises and neck exercises are really helpful for me, especially when I'm sitting at my desk all day writing or editing or hunched over drawing storyboards and just...
You need a lot more than that. Click the link below and check out Opera Air for a calmer, distraction-free digital experience.
And tell the distractions on the internet, okay, bye, I don't love you.
In later scenes, we see that Elio he's a lot. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of excitement, and there's a lot of volume. And so but we start soft with him. What's the purpose of that, of starting soft and seeing this side of him out of the gate?
It was to see where, like, we always wanted him to be this space fanatic, this alien fanatic. We wanted him to be proactively trying to get abducted. We loved and identified with that manic, nerdy, sweaty kind of like passion that felt very us. But then we also wanted to go behind, like, understand under the hood, like, where does that come from? What is he covering? Or like, what is he running away from? So it was important to start the movie off kind of like in that exact moment where his space mania kind of was awoken inside of him, and then seeing how far he took it, so that when you do see him lying on the beach with aliens abduct me and he's like wearing a colander and he looks absolutely insane and crazy, you are like, but I get it. I understand exactly why he is the way that he is. When I think about my own kind of childhood and teenhood, like, I felt like I was always like trying to go after something, like a goal, getting into animation school or doing this and doing that. And a lot of it, like, reflecting back, like, I was trying to cover my own kind of like pain, or like I just didn't want to sit with my own emotions and feel the sadness.
I don't identify with this at all. Tell me more about what that's like.
Yeah, like I remember high school, I decided to skip prom instead, I went to an anime convention.
Good choice.
And I had my little table and I sold prints and I made a lot of money that weekend. And I told myself, yes, I'd rather be doing this. I'd rather be, here selling these prints than going to a stupid prom. So dumb. And I'd like worked really, really hard for weeks on weeks and just like making like art to sell and printing it out. But then, I think deep down, I don't think I would have gone to prom, but I think I wanted to be asked. And I didn't linger or like I didn't let myself like think about that or feel sad that no one asked me. I was just like, no, wait, I
don't even want to go.
I didn't want to go. I have a higher purpose. I'm going to an anime convention. I'm going to get abducted by aliens. I'm going over there. I'm not going to be sitting here thinking about how sad my life is. So I think that feels like Elio, I feel like.
Elio reminds me of any number, because we go to pop culture conventions all the time. And there's a lot of that energy of kind of awkward, kind of manic, really excitable.
Yeah.
But underneath is just this ache for connection.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons why fan conventions are so fun, because they find each other. Everyone just finds each other and they just feel like they're at home.
Yes.
And that's what Elio is looking for, is home.
Time is of the essence. They could be here any minute.
I take full responsibility, but go.
Yes.
You have kids, right?
I'll be out of your way soon. Don't worry.
I love this scene.
Elio! Sorry, ma'am. What was that?
Which will you miss the least? Fuego? Fuego. Yeah.
Wearing a cape everywhere,
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Through everything.
I'm just saying I feel seen.
He needed to be ready. If he was abducted, he wanted to look good.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Do I pack forks to aliens, or do they look like weapons?
Yeah.
Peaceful spoon.
It's a peaceful spoon.
Aliens are not.
This scene was always a tentpole in the film. We knew that this argument had to happen. So even though we changed a lot of stuff around it, this scene stayed.
Yeah, and it's like writing an argument between a parent and child is very tricky.
Sure. Because of the power dynamics, right? You don't want the parent to be like,
Yeah,
And we have to like both of them.
We have to understand where each of them is coming from, right?
Yeah.
And that was really tricky because, like, there'd be versions where Olga felt too harsh. There'd be versions where Elio just seemed like
Way too
really
far.
immature
Yeah.
and unlikable. And
You're not my family.
oof.
Yeah. Because you need to root for them to fix this.
Yeah.
And it is a tricky needle to thread because you need to be on Elio's
Your life
side
isn't
where
up
you
there,
do
Elio.
when he gets
down
abducted,
here.
you want to agree with him that that's the best thing that could have happened to him, but at the same time,
You need to not think
Olga's,
Olga's a monster.
Yeah.
You want to empathize with her.
And the animators do such a good job. Like when he's like, "You're not my family," like that, like look of hurt, like that, like subtle eyebrow,
Yeah.
I love
like
that
contraction, the like eyelid tensing.
That
like
really hurt her.
Yeah, it was really.
Yeah.
I think Zoe on the phone there is an amazing performance because those are tough lines. She's sending him away, and you still feel bad for her,
So if you're not aware, Zoe Saldana plays
Olga.
Olga. And the central dynamic here is she doesn't get this kid. She loves this kid, but she has a hard time expressing it in a way that registers for him. And ever since he lost his parents, he doesn't really believe that anyone will love and accept him, at least here on Earth. So he's trying to get abducted, which is one of my favorite plot points. We were crying, laughing when he sets up his abduction station on the beach and just says, "Come get me." Basically.
That beautiful overhead shot. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
starting the movie, understanding his character and why he's doing this is beautiful, but you could have just opened on that shot and made a Wes Anderson film, and it would have been amazing.
Yeah. There were versions that was where we did start it. But no matter what, people were like, why?
Why is he doing that?
And it
You
didn't
need to
matter,
explain it first.
Yeah. No matter what dialogue we put in to explain verbally why, until the audience could
You
feel
have to see it and feel it.
It didn't work.
In therapy, I see this a lot of times where people, they have arguments and are talking across each other and they really do care deeply, but that's not landing. And especially when Elio says, "You're not family," what he's really saying is, "I want my parents." He's not saying, "No thanks for taking care of me." He's not saying, "You're doing a lousy job." He's just saying, "My family is my mom and dad and I don't have them."
Right.
Yeah.
And coming to engage in perspective taking requires first understanding yourself. And this film takes us from a place of loneliness and isolation and where do I belong to recognizing I can have belonging. It was always there. I just needed to see it. And you have to watch the film to see how it gets there because it's delightful. That was the first word that came out of my mouth when the credits rolled, was delightful. The second word was surprisingly dark.
That's pretty good 2-word review, actually.
So there's a lot going on that we're not going to completely explain, but suffice to say, he's trying to negotiate with this warlord
Yes.
so that he can have belonging with the people who are threatened.
Yes. Yes.
The Communiverse.
He's lied to the Communiverse and has like touted himself as this great leader of Earth, this great negotiator, peacemaker.
And they don't know what a human kid looks like, so for all they know, he is the king of Earth.
He's the tallest guy on Earth.
And they're not like size biased on,
Yeah.
on the Communiverse. They're like, yeah, he's tiny.
The amount of snap in the animation. This is a thing I noticed in Turning Red as well. The anime influence of things really pop, and there's a lot of snapped stuff.
Yeah, I love like pose to pose.
I like strong,
kinda.
strong poses.
Strong poses,
A nice
strong
silhouette.
silhouettes.
Yeah.
A pose that can tell you a lot about the character's personality, what they're trying to do.
Speaking of dark, what are these things that we're denuding of petals?
How did you know that's the word? Denuded.
We call them little skeets because this is a
like
skeet
skeet shooting.
shooting negotiation scene.
Machismo test is kind
Yeah.
of what's happening here.
Yeah.
Seeing if Elio is actually
Is
as
man-
cool
is man enough.
as he
Yeah.
Is he man enough to go toe to toe with
to
me?
denude.
I was gonna say, it's somehow darker that they
Denude
don't
these.
die, they're just publicly humiliated.
Well, I mean, the Hylergians are a culture all about like honor, all about like pride.
Conquest, blood wars.
Look on Elio's face!
And this is like almost like we didn't plan this. This is almost like subtle foreshadowing to what Grigon ends up doing. Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of a
we don't want to spoil it.
yeah, sorry, but it's a little it's their culture
There's
is all about it's all about
Okay.
honor, pride.
I'm gonna ask for quiet, but only because I want to appreciate your work for a second here.
To have a strong guy like you.
But is the Communiverse not where the greatest leaders gather? Am I not great?
Totally. But why waste your life trying to connect with people who don't get you?
So, Jenna, right after we watched this, you said this was like watching a first-year
Therapy student in graduate school.
He's trying. He's
doing his
all the
best.
moves. Yeah.
Well, it's what he's saying is helpful and valid. It's the lack of confidence with which he says it, which makes me think of me first year in graduate school. Like,
Leaning casually on a
He
leg.
has no concept of the importance of my work.
I love that Grigon's cronies genuinely love him. He's like the coolest guy on Hylerg. They love being his chair.
he's got like therapy notes on his hand
Yeah.
of how he's gonna help
Connect,
out negotiate.
I mean,
Oh, you think I cannot handle my own son?
no. I
Grigon
don't
is
think that.
self-conscious about
Tell
his
me what I
his
am
parenting
doing
skills.
wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm a bad parent too.
The spit was a choice. You have to do a little extra work for that, but it was worth it.
I am Grigon, Blood Emperor of Hylerg, Scourge of the Crab Nebula, and a great father!
He's such a drama
And a
king.
great father.
Grigon's fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
You go into a recording session with a script and your strong ideas of what you want. What, like, specifically did Brad Garrett bring to Grigon that was, like, enlightening for you?
He always wanted to know, like, what was going on underneath, like what is Grigon feeling? And when we were telling him, it's like you do feel a little inadequate as a father, where he doesn't really understand Glorden. Glorden is so different from him, and similarly to Olga, I think underneath all of his machismo, he's worrying that he's failing his son. He likes to know that stuff, and he has a really broad range of going, to an 11 when Grigon is angry or when he's feeling defensive. But near the end of the film, especially, he needs to take things all the way down and bring that vulnerability of what was underneath the whole time in there. And
I love the quality of his voice, and I also feel like you can even when he's screaming, there's always a layer of insecurity that almost makes it funny.
yeah,
In our history of movies, like we have cast and recast actors for roles because when you bring them into the booth, you realize
They're a great actor, but they're wrong for the part.
they're wrong for the part, or this role could have really easily gone in a very arch place where you are maybe a little too terrified of Qui-Gon, and it isn't as fun to watch him denude a bunch of skeets. But I feel like it's Brad. It has to be Brad in order to like make this scene as entertaining as it is.
Yeah.
There is covertly hidden in this scene a really solid piece of therapy advice. And that comes from Elio himself when he says, listen, you are great already, but why are you trying to spend your time and energy winning the approval of people who don't see it? And this is an example of, I think, something that happens to therapists all the time is you're giving advice to somebody else, and as it comes out of your mouth, you realize you're giving the advice that you needed to hear all along, right? Because Elio is trying to fit in with this bully kid, and he's trying to fit in all these different places, but he already has a home. His aunt doesn't understand him, but she accepts him and she loves him unconditionally. And so I love that it's just planted subtly throughout the film, this growth arc that's just happening as Elio is learning and teaching himself. I think it's really powerful.
Ready? Yes!
Yay.
Oh, okay, yes. On 3. 1, 2, 2.5. 2.5.
So cute.
Real. That was me at that age. I don't know what age Glorden is.
He's like 800.
Okay, yeah.
He's like big old Gordon, yeah.
800 years young.
8 to 800.
I love hearing Elio's theme played in a way you've never heard it before here. It's triumphant and like overjoyed for the first time.
And it's a mashup of his theme and Glorden's theme.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, and these two, they're zesty besties, you know?
Yeah. I've never heard that term before.
I like that. Good.
I like the montage because it's so fun, but then they're also taking care of each other. Like Elio is so caring towards Glorden. It's really fun.
Well, both of them feel unseen, unwanted
Yeah.
by their caregivers, which isn't the case for either of them, but it's how they feel.
Yeah.
And so they're giving it to each other to do this
They're there. Yeah.
unconditional love and acceptance. And Alan, you were saying you wanted to put this scene in because it shows...
It so beautifully captures that feeling of... And I love when you go into the slow motion, and it's the skip frame slow motion. But it just so well captures that feeling of that first time you make a friend that truly sees you, and that like just lightning in a bottle feeling.
Yeah. They're both just lonely boys.
Or at least they did.
I think it's cute. Glorden's a really good listener.
He is!
Whenever I watch this, because I've seen it so many times, now I used to watch Elio, now I like watching Glorden and seeing him nod and actively listen and realize that Elio just told him something that he hadn't heard before.
I know it's not the same,
so
but
sweet.
my mom's gone a lot. Fighting the blood wars.
Fighting the blood wars.
Fighting in the blood wars.
We debated like taking that line out, but we're like, no, we need to understand.
It's
More
funny
of it.
sad. Yeah, funny sad.
She's a working woman, and she's busy right now.
She is a working woman.
For like hundreds of years, probably.
But this is a good example of what I'm talking about. It's this beautiful heart-to-heart scene. He's like, my mom's never here because she's off fighting in the blood wars.
And Elio's like, that's rough, buddy.
I can relate.
What if it's me?
Well, I like you. And you seem fine to me.
Just that fear. I always thought there's something wrong with the world, but what if it's me? You were saying that Glorden doesn't even have eyes.
He doesn't have eyes, and he's still such an emotive character.
Well, and he barely has a brow. At least, Dad, when he takes the helmet off, he's still got the...
Yeah, he's got eyebrow meat.
The eyebrow meat.
But how crucial it is to not just see and love and accept yourself, but find those people who give that to you. And that's what Elliot was talking about earlier. Why are you wasting time on people? You're already great. So find the people who already see it. And this is one of the things we talk about a lot on our show is the need to be authentic. That when you're pretending to be something that you're not to win love or affection, it's not going to be your love and affection anyway. Right. And when you see your worth and you accept your worth and you embrace your worth, then you can live in authenticity. And anyone who doesn't like it, it's like, oh, thank you. You're not one of my people. That's fine. And so just this quest to be seen. And here he's seen and understood because his buddy's into all the same weird stuff he is. Yeah. But we can also get unconditional love and acceptance from people who are very different from us. But they're just people who are ready to give that, like his aunt is.
It's reassuring to hear it from a professional, because we did talk to psychologists. We even talked to the Surgeon General.
Really?
Yeah, and because we were just trying to get at the bottom of this loneliness epidemic. And as we were learning about it, we were like, we all relate to this. And he walked us through some steps of like, if you're a kid and you're lonely, these are some things that would help you. And one of them was like, you have to be honest about where you are. Don't feel ashamed about feeling that loneliness, because you feel like, I'm so lonely, something's wrong with the way I'm built. And he was just saying that, like, if Elio is able to verbalize that for the first time to his first friend, that would be a big shift for him, for his character. So we did actually go back in the film and make sure that we were hitting these marks for him. So in this moment, in this scene, he was ready to say that. It was very informative and really cool to like make sure, like, I think we're hitting these things that he talked about. Maybe Elio's ready for this character shift. Yeah.
Well, and Mary Alice, as you were saying, it's so wonderful that his friend is a good listener.
He is a good listener.
Elio's being vulnerable, but he's being rewarded for that.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And this is a question for you, but also for any of you. What does this moment mean for Elio's journey going forward? Because this seems like a pivot point for him.
I think it is a pivot point. I think, like Maddie said, he's finally feeling vulnerable. He can tell his friend he feels maybe there's something wrong with him. And then Gordon says, I think you're fine. And it gives him, I think, confidence. And as the film evolves, I think he has confidence enough to help his friend Gordon. And it makes him even more sure of himself.
Yeah, it always felt like this scene was kind of an important kind of tentpole for Gordon and Elio to really kind of like cement their friendship. Like, they had fun and games and adventures before this, but you really do feel like you connect with someone on a genuine level when you like open up that little that chest inside of you and you like show them something vulnerable. And for like, as we were thinking about this scene, the way we approached it was like, I don't think Elio's ever admitted this. I think he's always, you know, like blamed Earth for taking away his parents. He's blamed a situation. He blamed, you know, just everything around him. But like really deep down, he's afraid that he's the problem, that there's something wrong with him, that he's unworthy of love. Yeah. Like his goal to get into space was all just to like run away from that deep, dark kind of like secret fear. Yeah. And to be able to reveal that to someone and have them kind of just be like, I like you. Like, it's like so like gratifying to hear that from someone that they just like you for you.
This is such a beautiful episode. I'm loving this. And we don't have to do hardly anything. They're just...
I know. It's great.
I love the other scene in the movie earlier when, you know, they're trapped in the tunnel and Elio's in jeopardy and he has to literally get into Gordon's scary mouth. And it's like the ultimate trust fall. And then as a joke, it's played like, oh, it's comfy in here. But metaphorically, it's so funny, right? Like, I just took this big risk with this friend who's scary, but you know what? I feel better.
I've heard it said that the people who need love the most ask for it in the most unlovable ways. And Elio, at the beginning of this film, is driving Tia Olga up the wall because he's all over the place. Why? It's this energy of, where do I belong? Do I belong over here? Can I belong over there? Who do I belong with? And one of the greatest social skills I've ever learned, and I learned it from my mom, is when you see someone acting like that, you know, a lot of people will judge them or say, oh my gosh, what a freak, or what a loser, or will you just calm down or leave me alone? And when you give them love and acceptance, they self-soothe. I have a son who is Elio, and I have learned to, instead of scolding him, I will just give him a hug. And usually, he calms down. And if he doesn't calm down, at least after the hug, he takes that energy somewhere else because he got the need met, you know? And just how crucial it is to remember that when people are being unlikable, it's generally because they're hurting. It's generally because they're lonely. And want to encourage you to go see the film, because how the film resolves that, of Elio getting the love that he needs and giving it, is beautiful, and I wouldn't dare spoil it for you. You're going to have to go today in theaters to go check it out.
Please go see Elio in theaters. This movie was meant to be watched on the biggest screen possible. Our hope is that you just watch it, you go on this crazy sci-fi adventure with Elio, and you feel more connected with the people around you and with your place in the universe.
So until next time.
Okay, bye. I love you.
And watch...
And...
Watch movies!
At the movie theater.